Here's a story from Grandpa for my three favorite little girls, Emma, Ayla, and Audrey. A while back we talked about how there are some stories that just really could not happen in real life, but that it is pretty to think that they could. This is one of those. It's a pretty old story, written just before I was born almost 70 years ago. That doesn't seem old to me, but it will seem old to you. The story is called Mr. Dog, the Dog Who Belonged to Himself. Do you ever think about what it would be like if a dog could belong to himself? This author did, and here is what she came up with. Mr. Dog, the Dog Who Belonged to Himself by Margaret Wise Brown, illustrated by Garth Williams. Once upon a time there was a funny dog named Crispian. He was named Crispian because he belonged to himself. In the mornings he woke himself up and went to the icebox and gave himself some bread and milk. He was a funny old dog. He liked strawberries. Then he took himself for a walk, and he went wherever he wanted to go. But one morning he didn't know where he wanted to go. Just walk, and sooner or later you'll get somewhere, he said to himself. Soon he came to a country where there were lots of dogs. They barked at him, and he barked back. Then they all played together. But he still wanted to go somewhere, so he walked on until he came to a country where there were lots of cats and rabbits. The cats and rabbits jumped in the air and ran, so Crispian jumped in the air and ran after them. He didn't catch them because he ran bang into a little boy. "Who are you, and who do you belong to?" asked the little boy. "I am Crispian, and I belong to myself," said Crispian. "Who and what are you?" "I'm a boy," said the boy, "and I belong to myself." "I'm so glad," said Crispian. "Come and live with me." Then they went to a butcher shop to get his poor dog a bone, Crispian said. Now, since Crispian belonged to himself, he gave himself the bone and trotted home with it. And the boy's little boy bought a big lamb chop and a big, bright green vegetable and trotted home with Crispian. Crispian lived in a two-story doghouse in a garden, and in his two-story doghouse he had a little fur living room and a warm fire that crackled all winter and went out in the summer. His house was always warm. His house had a chimney for the smoke to go out, and upstairs there was a little bedroom with a bed in it and a place for his leash and a pillow under which he hid his bones. And there was plenty of room in his house for the boy to live there with him. Do you see the sign that says "No Cats"? Crispian had a little kitchen upstairs in his two-story doghouse where he fixed himself a good dinner 3 times a day because he liked to eat. He liked steaks and chops and roast beef and chopped meat and raw eggs. This evening he made a bone soup with lots of meat in it. He gave some to the boy, and the boy liked it. The boy didn't give Crispian his chop bone, but he put some of his bright green vegetable in the soup. And what did Crispian do with his dinner? Did he put it in his stomach? Yes, indeed. He chewed it up and swallowed it into his little fat stomach. And what did the little boy do with his dinner? Did he put it in his stomach? Yes, indeed. He chewed it up and swallowed it into his little fat stomach. Crispian was a conservative. He liked everything at the right time. Dinner at dinner time, lunch at lunch time, breakfast in time for breakfast, and sunrise at sunrise, and sunset at sunset, and at bedtime. At bedtime he liked everything in its own place. The cup in the saucer, the chair under the table, the stars in the heavens, the moon in the sky, and himself in his own little bed. And then what did he do? Then he curled in a warm little heap and went to sleep, and he dreamed his own dreams. That was what the dog who belonged to himself did. And what did the boy who belonged to himself do? The boy who belonged to himself curled in a warm little heap and went to sleep, and he dreamed his own dreams. That was what the boy who belonged to himself did. Good night and sweet dreams. And that's the end of the story. So, wolves are wild animals that are kind of like dogs, and they belong to themselves, but they don't live as humans do in houses, wearing clothes, eating at tables, and talking to each other in English. You girls have met my greyhounds, Dickens and Dory, and I've often wondered what they would be like if they were humans. In fact, I know for certain what they would be like, and it's fun to think about. I'm pretty sure that if Dickens and Dory owned themselves, they would invite me over to their house for dinner, and we would have long talks and do fun things with each other. As it is now, though, I own them, but I think that in a way they also own me, and we already have long talks and do lots of fun things together. So everything is as it should be. Always remember that Grandpa loves you, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.